Hello. I think we're back. Hi.
I think we're back.
That was really embarrassing. I'm so sorry, everybody. I looked at some cheese, a cheese wedge, and then that was the end. My computer was like, "No, you're done here."
Did
And
that
just,
cheese wedge just have too many polygons?
I guess, yeah. I mean, maybe the physics were
Was
just
it
too
the
much.
ultimate cheese wedge? I wonder if that cheese wedge was a known game crasher.
Yeah,
As we should,
it's probably
like
not a known
one out
shippable,
of
but
every
like,
2 million times or something, that cheese would like cause a processing spike.
that might be it. So this time
Yeah.
we're gonna go. Oh, can't go that way. All right. Well, we fell behind a bit there, and I'm sorry. That's apparently what comes when you try to stream an 11-year-old PC game. We are gonna make our time up as best we can. Brian, I think I cut you off in the middle of a really good streak there that you were going on.
Yeah, I was just trying to bounce around like response to like I was actually literally about to say like you could argue that the new Doom or whatever is somehow more streamlined version of the Doom that people knew and loved back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't get away from the fact that the new Doom just goes off on its own thing with the glory kill system, which is amazingly well designed, amazingly finely tuned and animated, and makes that something like you can say yes, it doesn't have the things that made the old one great, but developers should get plenty of chances to say that they're making it simpler doesn't necessarily mean making it worse. That's the end of that thought.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think games, if anything, have only gotten more complicated over the years because you can just look at controller schemes to point that out. PC games may have fluctuated, but only Nintendo seems interested in trying to get people in with simple control schemes.
Yeah, and
If anyone.
for anyone who forgot, because we just had a total failure, we were sort of going off on a tangent when I was talking about how a part of me 11 years ago when this game came out was like, oh, it's too bad they got rid of the more complex, more finicky, more easy to break magic system in Morrowind, where you could sort of craft your own spells. And I think you're right. I think it's probably for the best. But it was sort of a bummer because it meant that a system that was in itself very, I don't want to say akin to game design, but a system that gave players more control over how they were interacting with the world and why was sort of stripped out, because I presume because it probably made the game really, really, really extra hard to bug test. Oh, here we go.
Probably also cost of performance. I'm willing to bet that trying to make all the possible spell.
I would be curious to ask somebody who worked on both games what happened to that kind of system as they were streamlining everything, and maybe we'll have the opportunity to do so.
Maybe we will.
Near future.
I'm stroking my beard. Maybe we will.
All right, here we go. You know what it really is? When I was a kid, I played tabletop role-playing games.
Yeah.
And one of them is called. Was published by White Wolf, who does Vampire, which is there were actually some games based on Vampire. But White Wolf is a tabletop game called Mage, and Mage is all about sort of free-form. It's all about playing a cool wizard in the 90s or whenever, cool punk wizards. Kind of like if David Bowie was actually a wizard. I just realized, you'll see this on the stream in a second, that both times we've come through this tunnel, the zombie has attacked the rat, and I thought that was just by chance, but it seems to be happening reliably, and maybe that's the designer's way of showing that enemies will attack each other and not just you.
Oh, it's definitely a little tutorial moment.
Yeah.
I think, I don't remember, I mean, obviously, like I said, I haven't played Morrowind, I didn't see it last time. I don't remember if enemies attacking each other was a thing, or if everyone just viewed you and the humans as enemies, I guess.
Yeah, I don't remember either. Okay, I'm gonna be real careful, because last time there was a cheese wedge in this room that just destroyed me, so I'm just gonna save here and let's not look at the cheese, let's not talk to the cheese, let's
not acknowledge the cheese's presence.
Yeah, let's just be like two ships in the night and just be on our way.
I can feel coming in the air tonight. Oh, so in this tabletop role-playing game, Mage the Ascension, that came out ages ago and nobody probably knows about it. A key component was allowing players the freedom to play within the magic system, so they could make their own spells and they could define how they worked and what cost they paid. There was a system for that,
And Morrowind is the best approximation in any game I've ever seen to date of what that system is. And so it was a big bummer to me personally to see that they didn't go deeper on that side, because what was so interesting about it is like you could you remember in Morrowind there's that character right in the beginning who falls from the sky because he has tried to make a spell that went exactly as it was designed to, but did not go as he expected. And I was hoping they would give players more freedom to sort of ruin themselves in that fashion.
Yeah. Beautiful Baron at Tutu wants to comment that they find Oblivion to be a game that's hard for newcomers and frustrating for oldcomers alike, and they blame the way certain systems interact in Oblivion. Level scaling really doesn't play nicely with the way they structured the leveling system. Again, only to defer to you because I'm more. By the time Skyrim rolled around, I think they may have smoothed that out a bit.
Yeah, when I was playing, I didn't notice it to be a huge problem, but a lot of people did, and I
remember.
Yeah.
I remember at the time my friends were all blown away by this game where that you didn't pick a class, like you know, like as you used certain skills, like that skill increased. But I guess that wasn't the system in these games before that.
No, I mean it was. That was how it worked in. Famously in Morrowind, you had an acrobatic skill that determined like jump. I think it determined jump height, jump distance, and how much damage you took from falling. And you could practice it by jumping. So you could get that skill to go up very easily by just bunny hopping everywhere. And since you could basically, I'm pretty sure I have this right. You could pick your major and minor skills in that game just like you can here. And if those skills leveled up, your character would level up. And so you could kind of cheese the game for better and for worse by making acrobatics one of your major skills and then just fucking jumping everywhere. So that has definitely been a through line in this series.
Chris Graft, Gamasutra editor-in-chief, Chris Graft, reminds us that level scaling was such a controversy when this game came out. It split the line between the hardcore and the broader audience. I vaguely remember such a controversy existing because I was reading game sites at the time, but I don't remember, obviously. I don't remember how it panned out. I don't remember who won the level scaling wars. I mean, the truth is we all lost.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's very nuanced, right? I mean, you can see the intent in a designer's decision to put in a system whereby enemies in the open world scale to challenge you. But also it shows players the artifice of the world, right? It shows players that the whole thing is just a system that's like rejiggering itself to them.
Yeah.
It sort of takes the thrill of discovery out of it.
They kind of improved that when they went to Fallout, right? Because Fallout pretty clearly set zones by level area. And I remember playing Fallout, that it was interesting that the shape of Bethesda games have actually evolved in a pretty cool way to use. They seem to have like walked away from level scaling and instead used zones with certain leveled enemies to either come here if you have a tricky way to get past and you can sneak, or come back later when you have a gun, or this is where it's supposed to go now. Like a lot of people praise Fallout New Vegas for carving out like this wacky path that you take to get to Vegas itself, because you don't start off anywhere near the strip proper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know, like the way that Bethesda Game Studios refined its difficulty and level scaling systems was kind of not clear to me from game to game. I never noticed it the way a lot of players did. I understand that it was a thorn for a lot of folks. I do think you're right in Fallout. Like, I definitely remember you would run into enemies that you knew were too powerful for you, most notably the Deathclaw characters. And I don't remember having that experience in Morrowind or, frankly, in this game. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll find out soon.
Unless this is a 5-hour prison. It's like Chris is talking about Chris is talking about how he spent 5 hours playing it on his first session and how intimidating it was for people who hadn't played open world games before when you left.
Oh yeah, I can also say it's a little intimidating if you're trying to think about intelligent things to say while trying to climb out of this tomb, because this tomb is like weirdly tomb-like and labyrinthine. But I feel like it's not necessarily going to take us 5 hours this time. Oh, hey, what's up? All right, there's a guy here.
Just follow the hill. Also, by the way, is the walking speed that slow? Like I'm watching it, or are you just not running?
I'm just drinking it all in, man. I'm just taking my time. This is a scary scary dungeon. Scary dungeon. But I think I could probably run if you'd like me to pick it up a little bit. How's that? There we go. Also, it's close quarters, so it's hard for me to see where I'm going when I'm running.
NeoCow Plays wanted to come here and say thank you for exporting these to YouTube and doing these shows. They appreciate it a ton, and they feel a lot of lurkers feel the same way. I'm glad that I sincerely am appreciative that someone wants to hear a couple B2B games journalists try to take a designer's look at these games.
Yep.
And sometimes get smart people on to prove that we're wrong.
Just nothing but the most exciting and the hottest scoops in B2B game journalism right here on this channel.
Dead rats. With dead rats.
We're lost in a tomb. Alright, I think I found a door. This is huge. This is great. Very exciting. Gonna save in case you're running any more cheese. Cheese is very dangerous.
I can't believe cheese is dangerous. Like,
I mean, yeah. That's kind of why we're doing this, right? Is we're doing this because we wanted to stream Oblivion next week and we really wanted to go smoothly. So why not give it a test run this week and see if anything like, say, for example, cheese breaks it.
Yeah. Daggershot says you're going the wrong way.
I know, I'm the worst. Okay, traps. I don't know if you just saw that. We're a couple seconds behind, but that thing that you like about Skyrim actually came into style here.
Yeah, Oblivion. Like those physical traps that swing down.
Yeah.
I like them in Skyrim. I hate them in Fallout because they're pretty inconsistent. Like in Fallout, they feel more inconsistent.
Huh.
I guess landmines. Landmines are okay, but then sometimes you get the same thing where like you step on a pedal, and those little spike things fall down. So I'm just. I guess maybe just that Fallout, for all its post-apocalypticness, is still not an Indiana Jones, tomb. And I guess you're showing me some cool physics right here.
Yeah, so like
cool
that. Okay.
Physics.
So I remember especially this part of the tutorial when I was a kid, or not
a teenager,
more kid-like than I am now. Where like this was kind of mind-blowing. Like being able to swing things around was huge. And then you're going to see right here, there's these logs stacked up, almost as though the designers want you to push them down the hill onto a bad guy.
Right, because they probably like some. Just as you can get hit by flying objects, they can get hit by flying objects.
Push logs, and that blew my mind when I was a kid. That was huge.
Yeah, but like we said earlier, like a Bethesda game is always like trying, like not only are they tutorializing this space, but they are building technical experiments in these spaces for themselves.
Yeah, well. I always kind of got the impression too, and we can maybe talk to somebody about this in the future, like that was very much a point of excitement for the team, to the point that like that was put there in the tutorial with a prompt that says when you sort of hover over the logs, push logs. Like I don't really recall that ever popping up again in this game, but maybe I'm wrong. There we go.
Chris Graff, those logs blew my mind when he was a kid at 27 years old as well.
That's huge.
I like how Chris was older than I am right now when he first played this game. He's going to hate me for saying that.
That's so much ahead of you. Brian, did you ever have an experience like this? Was there ever a game that really sort of like shook you in a way that was like, wow, I didn't know games could do this?
Give me a second to think about that. Just because I'm trying to remember, because I had a gaming PC and Nintendo systems up until college, and so by the time I caught up with other, like the stuff that blew my mind, came in different points. I'm gonna give a shout out to Tales of Symphonia.
I'm gonna die.
Which is a JRPG, and I think what surprised me about Tales of Symphonia was how subversive it was from a story standpoint. And even though, like, I've learned later on that the Tales games have actually always had this live-action combat system that felt pretty good. Like the scope of the Tales game being so big, like encompassing a whole other world. Like you think you're on a save the world quest, and then it turns out you're out to save two worlds, and it turns out everything you know about saving the world is about a bunch of jerks basically trying to keep themselves in power. So up is down.
Transformers movie. Is this a Transformers movie?
No, this is Tales. No.
Oh, sorry.
No, this is a Tales. No, I'm being genuine here, man.
Yeah, I didn't mean to step all over your emotional.
Yeah,
reaction.
I think like there I can't remember any moment where like I remember being super wowed by a game's physics in some way, or like, oh my god, I can do this in a game, because like you said, I was like a couple years behind you, so my first interactions with many games were more like I never had to endure the dark years and then transition to the light, um, in a way. But I think I was always surprised as a kid when a game just sort of like was doing the things that I expected it to be doing, and then stopped doing that when suddenly it was all about something else. When like, oh, I can think of a big one, Warcraft 3, actually, and how
Sure.
Warcraft 3, when you start off with the human campaign, suddenly Arthas is the bad guy, and for the rest of the game, basically humans and the undead are all bad guys, except for Jaina. But you don't get to control her. Mostly you're playing the other factions for the rest of the campaign. That's another moment where, like, and I loved that about Warcraft for a long time, was that it was able to mix up who was good and who was bad for so long, and have this interesting moral thing. And then World of Warcraft, the Blizzard writers took just went some weird directions with that.
Yeah,
That's
sure.
that's what tended to as a kid. Brian Francis was always interested in morality being upended, I guess.
Yeah, that makes sense. That kind of has the impact on me. I want to point out here, first of all, what sign should we pick? I always pick the mage because that's the best, but
Yeah.
yeah? Okay, alright. Made the right choice.
Signs.
I want to point out this intro and show how it's sort of like how it's designed to lead the player in and out of an ongoing storyline. And I want to call you back a month ago to Morrowind, when in that intro we just like we literally wake up on a boat and then walk off a dock and then we're done. Like,
And then you pick a class, basically. You
Right.
pick.
You pick a class and you get a delivery quest and then you're done. And then here,
Yeah.
like, it's an hour-long, like, intricate scripted affair.
No trophies of
And
my
that, I
trials
think,
precede
was a
me,
response at the
but I
time
have
to a lot
lived
of
well, and my ghost
like,
shall
I
rest
think a lot of
easy.
people were sort of bamboozled by
Men are but
Morrowind's
flesh
scope
and
and were
blood.
confused
They
about
know
where to
their
go. And like,
doom,
that is that game's
not
strength
the
and its
power.
weakness, right? Is it's very open
In
and
this,
very
I
it
am
doesn't take the
blessed
player by
to
the hand
see
in any
the
significant
hour of
way.
my death. To
And so I
face
think
my
that this was them
apportioned
trying
fate,
to
then
respond
fall.
to that, some of those criticisms about that game being sort of confusingly
I
open-ended.
dream. that
Yeah.
in your
I also
such hope, and
I'm
with
just
the
watching.
promise of your aid,
I'm baffled
my
that they
heart
used
must be
this face
satisfied.
model for Patrick Stewart. Like, I guess they didn't buy the rights to his
I go
face
to
when they
my
hired him.
Yeah.
But he just looks kind of like
the music calls me.
this guy doesn't look wise at all.
You
He looks
shall
like
follow me,
the guy who works for the wise
and we
person.
must part.
I mean, he always looked to me like he was kind of drunk. Like he was kind of jolly and a little bit like
You may as well make yourself
out of it,
useful.
but
Here,
having a
carry
good
this
time.
torch and stick
And then you have
close.
this
Yeah.
very somber Patrick Stewart voice coming through his face, and it's
And he's talking about how he's gonna die. Like, and also I can't believe like this was the thing that surprised me as a. This did surprise me, like I said, because I watched my friend play through this level. I was surprised by the fact that
jump
I
really
heard so
high.
much about Patrick Stewart, who at the time I loved because I was watching Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Sure. A 2006 classic.
Yeah, the 2006 classic, Star Trek: The Next Generation. I was baffled by the fact that he died in the first hour.
Yeah, and I think the voice acting we're talking about is also something notable that you should remember if you weren't like actively playing this game at the time. Like this was Bethesda Game Studios' first fully voiced game. There was some voice in Morrowind, but not for most characters. And ever since, all their games have been fully voiced. Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Skyrim. And this was a big deal, and also a big deal because like it got a lot of praise for that like technical evolution, but also a lot of criticism because a lot of the voice work was kind of, I don't want to say not bad, but it's kind of, some of it sounds kind of phoned in, and a lot of it repeats.
Video game voices, especially for Bethesda games, actually still are like they're hard. Voicing games is hard.
Who put a chest in this window?
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Oh man, the Emperor has a sword. That's pretty cool, right?
I guess we get to take it off his body when he's done with it.
Now who's a goof? Yeah, I guess I don't actually think you do. I don't remember. I guess we're gonna find out pretty soon.
Yeah.
There we go.
Hold up. I don't like this. Let me take a look.
Do you think this is gonna be a trap? There might be a trap here.
It's always a trap.
Oh. Can you see my Skype window? Zach Barth is online. Don't tell anybody. Nothing.
Looks clear.
All right, so
We're almost almost through.
I think we're coming to the end here.
Of the dungeon. We still got a little time for the stream.
Oh yeah, no. I want to get us out. I want to get us out and
Yeah.
and have that moment that has now become de rigueur for Bethesda, which is you come out of a dark place into a bright vista.
Yeah. Beautiful Baron in Tutu says, in their defense, handling so many voices and characters to fully voice act was probably a logistical nightmare and
Oh, yeah.
largely uncharted territory at the time. That is true.
Oh yeah, I mean,
This is my general, barring like explicit acts of cruelty towards team members or anything, whenever I encounter a functional yet perhaps of mixed quality feature in a game, my first instinct is to go, games are hard.
games are like nearly impossible a lot of the time. It's remarkable anyone ever ships a game. I think we're in trouble.
Dagger says we have
I
maybe
can go
10
no
minutes left in the
further.
dungeon.
You alone must stand against the Prince of
Unless you're
Destruction and
faster.
his mortal
Are these guys
servants.
Brotherhood
You
of
must
Shadows?
Take the amulet.
No, I mean they're generic bad guys. I think this one they're called the Mythic Dawn. Oh,
Did that guy just like yank you into dialogue while you were still fighting?
he sure did. Man, I was just trying.
And
to
there he
take it
goes.
easy.
There he dies. And, oh my god, he's swinging so fast.
Oh man.
We failed.
Moment of silence, please.
The blades are sworn to protect.
Can you
the
take a
amulet.
sword?
Now the
Oh,
amulet.
yeah.
Where's the amulet of kings? It wasn't.
All right, here we
Strange.
go.
They say
Yeah,
it's the dragon blood
I
that
want to circle
flows
back a
through
second
the veins of every
to
septum.
that comment and point out that like
more
as
than
much
just
as we look back
The
at this
amulet
like
of
over a
kings is a
decade old
sacred
game, like
symbol
oh
of
that's
the
interesting, oh it's interesting they
people
made that
think of the
choice or
red
they
dragon
cut this or
crown,
they didn't
but
really
that's just
succeed here.
jewelry. The amulet
This game
has
was
power.
widely
Only the
praised
true
when it came
heir of
out.
the
It was a
blood can
huge
wear it,
technological
they say.
achievement.
Yeah.
They must have given
And it was
to you
a
for a
bona
reason.
fide success.
Did he
It's a
say
it's a
why?
great game. It just happens to be
Joffrey.
Yeah.
11
I will
years
say,
old.
Nothing
I'm going to talk
else.
about an interesting
Although you
design
may not
decision
think
here.
so
Like they're
to
talking
me,
about how
he
the
lives
like your
quietly as a
character's an
monk
heir of
at
blood,
Wayne and Priory.
and how they
First, you need to get out of
like, and
here.
I think Morrowind had a similar
It's a
thing, right?
secret
Like there
way
is a
out.
thing in these games where your
There are
character
rats
is
and
supposed to
goblins
be
now.
like a chosen one.
But from
I think Skyrim actually was the first of these games to super nail the identity, the cultural identity that, like, they nailed what it meant to be a chosen one in that game compared to the others, because people still reference being Dragonborn
Yeah.
and Dovahkiin and Fusroda, and maybe it's just those silly words that aren't really silly because they're drawn from, I mean, they're fantasy language stuff, but they're also like referencing Viking culture, so I won't mock it that much. But like,
Yeah, I think Bethesda laid the groundwork here for the success of Skyrim, which is like this is a
Yeah.
successful, popular game when it came out, but it was Skyrim that like really benefited from that established audience and that goodwill, and then they capitalized it like really well with the marketing campaign, all that Dovahkiin stuff, the music and everything, and then the actual game itself was fantastic. So that was like
Yeah.
a real.
God, I remember losing so many. Like, the only reason I didn't lose more of my life to Skyrim was I had to go and work on my final student project.
Sure.
Like, and I had to make a choice.
I've been hesitating here on this character like class screen. A, because I just love the little pictures, but also B, can we just talk for a second about how this weird thing happened in generic fantasy where the idea of like a warrior monk, which there have certainly been men and women of the cloth of all faiths that have picked up weapons, but like I feel like that idea is like really has its genesis in like Eastern religions, like monks who actually practiced martial arts for health and everything else, and like they took it and kind of like spun it around to make it a Western monk. So you have this guy doing like kung fu, but he has a tonsure and a habit on, and also a bow for some reason. I just always like that a lot. I don't know what this is.
I'm gonna ask the chat what class you should be.
Yeah, that's fun. Let's do that.
What class should Salamantha be? Mitch says paladin.
I've never been I've always liked the Elder Scrolls classes because they don't. It's like they took all the classes from every other Western RPG and then put them all together in one giant list.
Yeah.
Like it's not like
oh wait, is there a
six.
pilgrim class?
Probably, yes.
Mitch says you pilgrim, so I say you should be a pilgrim.
Pilgrim it is. We're gonna have to pick somewhere to make a pilgrimage to, though. So think on that.
I wasn't far off.
Because like I mean, a guy, I kind of want to lean into the idea of we're making a character who, like, is not a traditional hero.
Take no chance.
Okay, so where is
Proceed to
Salamantha
Wayne
making
and
her
Priory
pilgrimage to?
immediately? Got it? Good.
Where I don't know. I don't know where the
Amber's
locations
trust
in this
was
game
well
are.
So I always like the idea of the Camino, which is that big, long pilgrimage walk across. I think it's Spain.
I'll stay here to guard them.
So we're gonna pick a big, giant road, and we're gonna walk it in pilgrimage once we get out of here.
Oh wait, are you actually talking about a game mechanic or did like? Wait, I'm confused.
No, so in real life, there's a thing called a Camino.
No, I know. Yeah, I know that like there's real pilgrimages in Spain. Are you like is there an internal game mechanic where it says I might have to make a pilgrimage to here?
No. Also, it turns out we can't touch the Emperor. We can't take his sweet sword.
Leave the Emperor in peace.
All right. Well, we're gonna have to figure out how to get out of here.
That's not their Ludo narrative.
Also, let's decide now that Salamantha is so changed by this experience that she never takes her shackles off. From here to the rest of the game, I'm going to wear these shackles.
Sure. Also, did I freeze?
No, you're fine.
Did you freeze?
Maybe you froze. I don't know. Do you feel frozen?
Just a little. It's cold in here.
Yeah. I think you're probably fine. Probably just a little frigid.
Let it go. Let it go.
Alright, I believe I'm getting a lot of these things. I assume these are all from DLC in the 10 plus years since this game came out. Also, fun fact, I'm sure everyone watching knows this, but this was the starting point of microtransactions for DLC in a public sense. Like, I don't know if this was the first game to do it, but this was the first time that like there was a big public spotlight put on the notion of paying, say, $2.50 for cosmetic horse armor.
Yep, they're horse armor. I mean, actually, I remember reading an article somewhere that horse armor actually did really well. It sold really well, and it's set up like it wasn't a catastrophic failure.
Oh no,
but it did.
Yeah.
Either it sold really well, or it helped them figure out DLC for like other things. Hang on.
Yeah, I never got the impression that it didn't sell. I got the impression that a lot of people were they were told that, like, if I remember right, Bethesda said they would try microtransactions with this game, and people expected like, $1 for 5 new swords or something.
Joel Burgess, I think he's a former senior level designer at Bethesda because he's left.
GDC about.
Yeah, at GDC, he said, modding. Come on, look at this Polygon story.
Yeah.
And they buried the.
Are you ready for this? We're about to step into the light.
Oh, this was part of a GDC talk. Yeah, I'm ready for this.
Hold your breath. Let's hope it doesn't crash again.
Yeah.
Oh, that was less cinematic than I remembered.
Everything about old games is less beautiful than you remember.
Well, Fallout 3 does
have it's a great like landscape to look at first. Mountain ruins. That's good.
I mean, I remember playing this game 11 years ago and coming out and being like, A, this is amazing, and B, they definitely put this ruin and this bridge and this like this is all placed very specifically so that you look out and go, look at all the things I can go do, and you turn. Yeah. There's stuff. There's like a thing up here. Here's
the quote from Joel about horse armor. Yeah. At the time when other developers were for the most part constrained to doing things like gun packs or cash packs for games, we were releasing content like Knights of the Nine and the Shivering Isles for Oblivion, some very, very big DLCs that had content on par with other full games being brought out. All those more interesting DLCs were built on the back of horse armor. And Burgess said, while the horse armor still gets trotted out as an example of bad DLC, for him it remains a point of pride. And there's something to be said for giving the internet something to make fun of. You've made it, I guess. I'm going to credit Charlie Hall of Polygon for that write-up.
Yeah.
But I guess the horse armor paid for the other DLC, I guess.
Sure. Oh, bad guys.
Bad guys? Oh, man.
Guys.
So the run animation is definitely less Here I Come to Steal Your Girl.
It's kind of the less for it. The tail is weirding me out. It kind of moves in its own weird circle.
Oh my god, yeah. It's got its own rigging. It's not. It's just kind of taking your movement as suggestion.
I'm not very good at this.
Daggerzo says if you find the bandit camp across the water, there's a book in there for leveling up.
Oh right, yes.
Yeah.
There's a skill book, I think. I can't quite remember.
If this is when was the story published? Charlie filed the story from GDC, so
yeah.
Let me get that talk for you. Just being there asking for it in the chat.
Just go to. You could probably just search Gamasutra. We regularly highlight talks, as you know, and we usually have. If you just search.
I think I found it. I was just
Oblivion.
Yeah, this is the talk that I'm referencing for sure.
Oh yeah, and for everyone who doesn't know, I'm sure you already know, but you should go to the GDC YouTube channel because there are lots more videos there that are way more informed than this is about all the ins and outs of game development.
Ignore what was previously on my clipboard.
Yeah.
Just a random tweet someone sent to my mentions.
Sure. Well, I'd sort of forgotten how empty this landscape looks. I think I have everything dialed up. I'll make sure and turn off the trees in a minute. But, well, you know, compared with Morrowind, this game was very striking when it came out for how green it was and like how far you could see.
The draw distance, I mean, like that still holds up, right? Like at least right there. Like I can think of Breath of the Wild, Horizon Zero Dawn. I mean, every open world game that's gotten the benefit from Oblivion's work, like that's the right. I'm just looking at this right now and realizing how like being able to see that far and say that looks interesting, I want to go there. It's just such a like. It's still good. Just like Chris Graff was talking in chat earlier about scripted people running up to you and handing you a quest. Mm-hmm. It's still good. It still works. It's still like it's such a baseline of great open world stuff.
Yeah, it's a good hook, and Bethesda has a penchant for it. Has decades of practice.
Before we go, can I just share like my one complaint about Elder Scrolls? Like as we've.
Okay.
I'm gonna do it.
I'll just plug my ears. Go ahead.
The thing I want to criticize about Elder Scrolls, and I'm sorry for whoever we bring on in the future or any Bethesda folks maybe watching, I've always been frustrated by the fact that like I love so many of the individual quests of an Elder Scrolls game, and yet everything about the backstory and like these world details, I find it always so frustrating and inaccessible. Like the immediate events of like what's going on in a given place are always so compelling and like intriguing, and yet like your quest log was popping up there and saying that something was happening in X year of Y, and like there's this whole like something I was encountering with the Elder Scrolls Online was like this kind of assumption that like you'd be vaguely tuned into why these different factions would be bouncing off each other, and it's the problem is I feel that I feel like you can everyone can criticize writing and like say, oh, I know how to write better than you, so like I feel a little bad about that, but at the same time, like what gets me about that problem that I feel is that it seeps into so much of other parts of the design. It seeps into the visuals, it seeps into the quest design, it seeps into these locations. Like there's this sense, the sense of lived-inness is often very praised in these games, and I can agree with that to an extent. But the I always find it frustrated when like some bit of something doesn't seem to function unless you go check why this is, because it's almost like and the underlying root of that is what is often like you go and look up the answer and it's often like proper noun nonsense number 342, like stuff you'd find in the D&D campaign, but it really matters here because it's the Elder Scrolls version of that. So I'm sorry to Bethesda folks. Elder Scrolls is really cool. I love going on all these great quests in it, but
no, it's fine. Yeah, no,
I think Fallout has always done better at that because just being set in our world, like everything's felt better in that sense whenever they've popped anything up there.
Yeah, so I think AI was wrong earlier when I talked about the trick where you would just jump all the time to level up your acrobatic skill. Yeah. Apparently, you can do that here too because I just did that earlier. But also, I think you're on pretty safe ground if you want to like level some gentle criticism about the writing and the stories in these games. Like certainly, they've improved tremendously over the last 2 decades. But the setting has always been a very generic mishmash of what you might call like Western fantasy. Like there are orcs and goblins, and there are monks for some reason who punch people, and then there are mages and wizards, and it's just like a giant mishmash of everything that was ever in like Western fantasy, and that's always been kind of fascinating, but remarkably vanilla in a way that like it is often, especially because they do something interesting. Like I'm sure lots of people know. They jump forward and backward in time between each game, sometimes by hundreds and hundreds of years.
Yeah,
and that I think is actually kind of like an interesting way to play around in a persistent universe without necessarily feeling tied to having to make immediate sequels or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
In terms of
I like that technique to a certain extent, but at the same time, it also means that like from Skyrim to like I'm aware that there's like hundreds of years of difference between like the most popular games in the series, and yet I can't get any grasp of how it matters because it's so committed to being locked in this one era of fantasy, generic fantasyness. It never feels like anything's changed. Like, oh, this empire is now more relevant now than it was before. Well, that's great. Everything still feels like I think of. Maybe this is like the privilege of being a human in the 21st century as opposed to the 15th. But like a few hundred difference feels like a big deal to me, and its own setting seems to prevent it from being a big deal because it's always got to be like I feel really mean now. It almost feels like in the early Elder Scrolls games, Bethesda, the game design company, was trying to make their own fantasy game, but D&D was the most popular thing, so they just took a few steps away from D&D and called it a day. And since then, they have been building ever more complex and intricate and interesting games off of something that started off an off-base D&D.
Oh, which, man, I mean, like, that's totally legit. But also, I think if you're gonna say like, oh well, it's boring for game developers to like take a couple steps away from D&D and then build from there, like then you're basically like you're not necessarily wrong, but that includes like wizardry and like Final Fantasy, like every RPG ever made.
At least Final Fantasy changes like the freaking setting every time.
It does now, yeah, for sure.
They have since like for a long time. Well, I mean, unless you're counting like the direct sequels that followed, like 12-2 or something.
No, I'm talking about like Final Fantasy 1, like Final Fantasy 2, like Final Fantasy like. Anyway,
I don't like Final Fantasies 1 and 2.
That's okay. That's
me. Honestly, precocious millennial.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's it's just.
I tried playing the old Final Fantasies, and I was like in pain. It's more like I wouldn't criticize. Let me refine my criticism, just to be fair.
Okay.
I'd say that like the first generation of these games, going a couple steps away from D&D or traditional fantasy, like obviously like it was just a technical hurdle, like you said. It's amazing those games ever got finished. So like that's not a fair criticism for those games. I feel like even Skyrim for like actually finally finding an identity with the Dovahkiin and Fus Ro Dah that like actually like was great. Even that still at points felt trapped by this need to like only be tied to the is this the old bribing system?
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember how it works, but I'm doing really bad.
Oh man, this is amazing because I never have seen anything like this in any game since. So the
move along.
Well, there's a whole funny story. Yeah.
That's where I'm kind of at, is that like living on that lore and trying to keep that lore up has meant that they like I just feel like sometimes maybe like I'm looking at this giant fortress right now and I'm thinking about how The Witcher manages to keep you. The Witcher does like a way better job at this despite being based on a book series that like they don't expect you to have read the books.
I mean, at all. Like, there's a lot to unpack there, and we're at the end of our hour.
I did that all in the last hour.
No, but it's super interesting, and like I don't disagree. Like that's totally legit. I think it's interesting to talk about these games and the way they tell stories because they are so yoked to the technical limits of what they can do. So, for example, like you just said, like we're in this like random city. Or this is the Imperial City. It is supposed to be in the lore like this incredibly bustling hub of commerce and business and politics and all that. And there's like nobody in here because they couldn't keep the frame rate up and the performance good while putting much people in here.
Right.
And like that is a far more interesting discussion to me than just like how good is the lore or how do they jump around between games and keep you invested in that story. That's a fair criticism now. Like I've never really thought of it that way. To me, what's exciting is that you have these disparate games that share themes and tone, but they're not at all linked in story, and that gives you an opportunity to come to each one fresh.
I think that's actually where it works, is that it gives them the freedom to dump out and start over time. I almost wish like they did a better job in the next in that. I just feel like they throw it out every time and start you somewhere fresh. Yeah, and then still stumble into, and then just restart the this place matters because this faction, this reason.
See, I think that's great because, like, I completed, and loved the original Witcher, and then I played a bit of 2, and then I put it down because I was tired of it, and then by 3 I just couldn't get into it because I was tired of Geralt. Like, he's a cool character, I guess, but I just got real tired of being cool, quiet, tough guy. And this game gives you the opportunity to reinvent your story every time you play, and I think that is not necessarily like the best for everyone, but it's something that I, as a player, often really appreciate. However, we have to draw this to a close.
Yeah, we do have to draw. Yeah, I'm sorry for like bringing out the big argument at the end.
No, it's fun.
That wasn't fair.
But you know what? Every stream we reinvent ourselves anew, just like the Elder Scrolls. And we're gonna cut this off here. I expect we'll be back next week, roughly this time, roughly this place.
We're going to be back tomorrow. Just a reminder for everyone: come by around going to be around 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific in the evening. Come by because we're going to be playing some Thumper, which is we're going to be playing on the Switch. We're going to be streaming from the Nintendo Switch, which will be fun.
Yeah, we're taking a look at that, see how it looks, see how it
runs. I'll just politely ask folks if you're watching this, we'd love it if you would follow the Gamasutra Twitch channel. Because then you'll get notified when we're doing these streams. And we love streaming old games, even when I criticize the heck out of them, because it has not failed to be fun next. Oh, Alex, man, I know. Oh, man, I want to ask you, when we're done with going through some older Elder Scrolls, I want to ask you to do an old Star Wars game.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love old games. They're like, I love them because
old Star Wars games.
They're fun. They're fun trips down memory lane. They're occasionally fun to play. And they're really interesting to look back at when you're looking at what's going on in the game industry today, because often you can see striking parallels, even though these games are often over a decade old.
Yeah, and sometimes the game crashed when you look at the cheese.
Yeah, classic. That's going to do it for us this week.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon. I'm trying to crash the stream. We are not gone yet.